A few weeks ago, someone asked me, Sabine, does AI scare you? I smiled and said, only when I forget that humans built it. Because let's be honest, AI isn't a monster lurking in our laptops. It is a mirror. It reflects who we are, what we prioritize, and sometimes what we neglect. Over the past few months on Scouting for Growth, I've had the privilege of speaking with people who aren't just adopting AI. They are living it. From startup founders who build AI to simplify the chaotic insurance back office to innovation leaders in Fortune 500 firms wrestling with ethics, regulation, and talent shortages. And after dozens of conversations, here's what I've learned. AI isn't just changing our tools, it is changing our temperament. This episode is my reflection of those lessons, a guide for leaders and builders trying to navigate this new age of intelligence. We'll unpack 5 principles that define successful AI adoption. Principles forged in the messy reality of boardrooms, venture client offices, and bright ideas that sometimes almost didn't make it. So grab your coffee, find your thinking chair, and let's explore what this lesson teaches us. Not just about technology, but about leadership in an age of intelligent machines. Principle number 1, AI doesn't replace judgment, it reveals it. When Branch Insurance introduced AI into its claims process, something unexpected happened. It wasn't the customers who resisted, it was the adjusters. They were worried, not because AI made mistakes, but because it did not. The AI could read a claim, suggest a response, and generate letters faster than any human. It even used friendly, empathetic language, which made people uneasy. One adjuster said, "It is like having a robot that is too polite." But after a few weeks, something shifted. They realized AI wasn't judging them. It was mirroring their best work back at them, helping them see their strengths and inefficiencies side by side. That is a paradox of intelligent tools. They don't remove human judgment, they reveal it in higher resolution. And that is lesson number 1. AI magnifies your culture. If your team are open, curious, and collaborative, AI becomes a co-pilot. But if they are fearful, secretive, or defensive, it becomes a mirror that no one wants to look into. One executive told me, AI showed us what we didn't know about our own processes. That is a gift, but only if you are brave enough to accept it. So, as you deploy AI, don't just train your systems, train your people to handle what they will see when the data starts talking back. And remember, AI doesn't have an agenda. It won't lie to you, but it will expose every inefficiency you have been quietly tolerating for years. So the first principle is simple. AI doesn't replace judgment, it refines it. Principle number 2. Governance isn't a brake pedal, it is a steering wheel. There is a story I love from my conversation with Lisa Bechtold, who led AI governance at Zurich Insurance, now at Nestlé. When her team started implementing AI, they faced the classic dilemma, move fast or move right. And Lisa said something that has stayed with me. She said, "We don't see governance as slowing innovation. We see it as enabling trust at speed." That line deserves to be printed on every corporate whiteboard, because in this AI era, trust is the new currency. Customers won't just ask, "Is your AI accurate?" They will ask, Is your AI fair? Regulators will ask, can you explain it? And your board will ask, who is accountable when it fails? If you can't answer those questions confidently, you don't have an AI strategy. You have an AI experiment waiting to become a headline. The companies that succeed treat ethics and transparency as design principles, not compliance checkboxes. At Zurich, governance became a framework to say yes faster because everyone knew the rules of engagement. And here is the witty truth. AI governance isn't the grumpy uncle of innovation. It is a GPS, the thing that lets you take bold turn without driving off a cliff. For startups, the lesson is just as clear. If you are selling AI to large enterprises, show them you're understanding their world, the audits, the regulators, the reputational stakes. That is how you become the trusted partner, not just risky experiment. In short, good governance accelerates innovation and gives leaders confidence to say yes. Principle number 3. Legacy isn't your enemy. It is your starting line. Let's talk about something unglamorous, core systems. I know it's not sexy, but every AI dream dies in the shadow of bad data. When I spoke with Sarah Milkulski, CIO of Kingstone Insurance, she laughed and said, Sabine, AI is like a sports car, but we were trying to drive it on cobblestones. Their legacy systems were ancient, their data scattered across departments like confetti after a party. They wanted AI-powered claims and underwriting, but the pipes were clogged. So they did something radical. They rebuilt their digital backbone first. They migrated to the cloud, unified their data, and created what Sarah called their single source of truth. Zero excuses. Only then did AI start to shine because now it had clean, reliable data to work with. And here is the broader principle. Modernization precedes intelligence. You can't automate chaos. You can, though, only amplify it. An AI amplifies whatever it touches, right? Speed, bias, confusion, brilliance. It doesn't discriminate. The lesson for corporates is don't skip the plumbing. The lesson for startups is know your buyer's plumbing before you sell the faucet. If your enterprise clients' data lives in 14 systems that don't talk to each other, your AI won't save them. It will frustrate them. So treat legacy not as a barrier, but as your baseline. Because every digital transformation story begins with one painful truth. Before you scale intelligence, you must clean the mess intelligence will reveal. Principle number 4. Pilots don't prove technology. They prove partnership. I have lost count of how many times I've heard this. We will start small, just a pilot project. But here is the thing. The best pilots don't just test AI, they test people. Let me tell you about Ergo Group and Camcom, a startup from India that uses computer vision to detect car damage from photos or drones. The tech was brilliant. The challenge, integrating it into a multinational insurance process. They did not just hand over the product, they sat side by side, engineers, adjusters, compliance officers, even lawyers, to make it work. It took nearly a year to get from pilot to production. And the result wasn't just faster claims, it was a new relationship model. The startup learned how corporates think. The corporate learned how startups move. That is a real win. Because here is the uncomfortable truth. Most pilots fail. Not because the tech doesn't work, but because the humans don't work together. A pilot's real purpose is to build trust velocity, the speed at which two organizations learn to rely on each other. The faster companies, think about large enterprises, for them, this means empowering your teams to collaborate with startups as equals, not vendors. For founders, it means understanding the maze of procurement, compliance, and politics, and still having the stamina to show up day after day to prove your worth. In other words, the pilot isn't the test of your code. It is the test of your collaboration. And when it works, you don't just get a project, you get a playbook. Principle number 5. The future isn't AI-driven, it is human-augmented. Here is where it all comes together. After all the talk about data, systems, ethics, and pilots, what really matters is how humans evolve. Because AI won't replace people, but people who know how to use AI will replace people who don't. That is not a threat, it is an invitation. AI is already changing what we expect from talent. Claims adjusters now need to interpret AI outputs. Underwriters much question models. Leaders much learn to manage digital teammates. I met one founder who said, "We are not building AI to replace analysts. We are building AI so analysts can finally think." That is the spirit we need. And the irony, the more intelligent our system become, the more human our leadership must be. Because empathy, creativity, ethics, these aren't data points, they are our differentiators. When Branch automated 85% of their claims paperwork, their adjusters didn't become obsolete. They became customer heroes. Freed from admin, they could actually pick up the phone and reassure someone in crisis. This is what we call customer empathy. When Zurich embedded AI governance, their teams didn't slow down, they sped up with confidence. When Kingston fixed their foundations, their people didn't fear the future, they shaped it. That is the real lesson. AI's job is to make humans more human. If that sounds philosophical, that is because it is. But it is also deeply practical. The best AI leaders I've met don't start with the question, what can we automate? They start with, what should humans do next? That is the question worth asking. Because that is how you design AI that serves, not replaces. So here is where we are. It's time to recap. So before we wrap up, let's bring it all together. Principle 1, AI doesn't replace judgment. It reveals it. It is not here to make you obsolete. It is here to make your biases visible. Principle 2, governance isn't a brake pedal. It is a steering wheel. It is what lets you accelerate with control, not just experiment in chaos. Principle 3, legacy isn't your enemy. It is your starting line. Fix your foundations because you amplify them. Principle 4, pilots don't prove technology. They prove partnerships. The human side of collaboration determines whether innovation sticks. And principle 5, the future isn't AI-driven, it is human-augmented. Technology expands our potential, but purpose gives it direction. So here are my final reflections. We are in the age of collaborative intelligence, and so here is what I believe. We are standing at the dawn of collaborative intelligence, a world where humans and machines co-create outcomes faster, smarter, and fairer than ever before. But speed alone won't define the winners. It will be clarity of purpose. AI is like fire. It cannot yet cook your dinner or burn down your house. The difference is going to be in the leadership, right? Which bring new AI thoughts into the environment, into production. So, to every chief innovation officer listening to this at 6 a.m. with your first espresso, wondering how to explain AI to your board, start with this line. AI isn't here to replace us, it is here to reveal what we are capable of. And to every startup founder turning in while sprinting between investor calls and product sprints, remember, speed gets you attention, trust gets you adoption. If we combine those two, enterprise trust and startup speed, we will build something extraordinary. The next era of AI won't be written by algorithms. It will be written by us, the humans who choose to use them wisely. So my invitation is simple. Learn, experiment, collaborate, but above all, lead with empathy. Because the ultimate competitive advantage in the age of intelligence is still being human. Thank you for joining me today on Scouting for Growth. If this conversation sparked something for you, share it with a colleague, tag your favorite AI leader, or start that internal conversation you have been avoiding. Because transformation doesn't happen when you hear new ideas, it happens when you act on them. Until next time, keep scouting and keep growing. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Scouting for Growth. Please subscribe, share with friends, and leave a 5-star rating. Your rating is so valuable. I review all of them, and my team help me adapt content to meet your needs. Also, connect with me on my preferred channels. I am a B2B growth expert, so you will find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Threads, and X as well as Blue Sky. All information available below. Until next, keep scouting for growth.